Carl Jung's dark truth about women. Men must know the psychology behind male illusion. You thought you were writing your own story, but what if you were living out one that began long before you were born? In this video, we explore the hidden patterns passed through generations, emotional scripts written in silence, inherited pain disguised as personality and trauma that never spoke but always directed your choices. Guided by Jungian psychology, we dive deep into the unconscious forces shaping love, identity, and suffering. If you've ever felt lost without reason, stuck in the same relationships, or unable to explain your ache, this is for you. This is not just theory. It is a mirror, a path, a quiet revolt against the invisible chains shaping your life. Stay until the end, because what you discover about yourself may break the loop forever. Not by changing others, but by reclaiming your own story. Welcome to DepthMind. When you love not for who she is, but for what's missing in you. There are moments when love strikes fast, unexpectedly, with an intensity that feels sacred. She walks into the room and something inside you stirs. You feel seen, understood, even saved. But what if it is not her you are loving, but a lost part of yourself you have projected onto her? Carl Jung warned of this hidden mechanism. When you have not integrated your inner world, you unconsciously search for it in others. That woman is not the solution. She is the mirror. You do not love her. You love how she makes you feel whole. She becomes a symbol of what you have not owned within yourself. Most men do not recognize this. They confuse the emotional high of projection with real connection. When she leaves, they feel shattered, not because she was their soulmate, but because she took with her the illusion of completion. The truth is harder to face. You were never in love with her. You were in love with the version of yourself that you saw in her presence. This illusion feels divine because you have forgotten your own divinity. The tragedy is not that love ends, but that it was never real. It was a fantasy. A sacred lie told by a soul desperate to be seen. Healing begins the moment you realize this. When you stop asking why she left and start asking what part of you she awakened, the spell begins to break. Only then can you truly love, not to fill the void, but from the fullness of who you are. Anima, the hidden force controlling a man's emotions. Deep within every man lies a silent presence. The anima, the inner feminine that holds the keys to his soul. It is not just emotion or intuition. It is the source of his sensitivity, creativity, and longing for connection. When a man does not recognize her, she begins to act from the shadows. She influences his desires, shapes his fears, and whispers promises through the faces of women he meets. He thinks he is falling in love, but what he is really falling into is the unclaimed part of himself. The anima is not the enemy. She is the unfinished story. But when she is unconscious, she becomes dangerous. She disguises herself as longing, as destiny, as fate. She makes him believe that a woman can complete him. And when he believes that he gives her the power to define his worth, the woman becomes a goddess, a healer, a muse, but only because he cannot yet see those parts inside himself. A man ruled by his unconscious anima becomes reactive, emotionally dependent, and spiritually adrift. He seeks intensity, not depth, validation, not truth. He does not see the woman for who she is, but for who his inner wound needs her to be. This projection is not love. It is a spiritual bypass, a shortcut that delays real connection. Only by confronting the anima within can a man begin to break the cycle. When he stops searching for her reflection in the world and starts listening to her voice inside, he becomes anchored. He is no longer pulled by every emotion or seduction. He begins to lead rather than follow. The anima integrated becomes not a temptation, but a compass. And only then does a man begin to live from truth, not from longing. Infatuation is not love, it's being led by the unconscious. Infatuation feels like magic. It moves quickly. It overwhelms the senses. It makes someone feel like home before a single truth is spoken. But infatuation is not love. It is a projection shaped by unconscious needs. You are not seeing the person. You are seeing a symbol. When your anima is not integrated, she does not remain silent. She leaps outward and clings to the first woman who reflects even a piece of what you lack. That instant connection, that intense pull, is often not real resonance but unresolved hunger. This is why the most passionate beginnings can become the most devastating endings. Because what you thought was love was your inner void disguised as destiny. You loved how she made you feel, not who she actually was. And when she failed to maintain the fantasy, you began to collapse. This collapse is not heartbreak. It is disillusionment. The spell wears off, and what remains is confusion, pain, and sometimes shame. Men often confuse this collapse with deep emotional truth. They say it proves how much they loved, but Jung would say it reveals how much they projected. Infatuation is not a sign of deep connection. It is a sign of deep separation from the self. Until you recognize that longing is often a mask for spiritual disconnection, you will continue to chase it, thinking it is love. True love grows slowly. It sees clearly. It accepts flaws. Infatuation demands perfection because it cannot tolerate reality. Reality breaks the illusion, and when the illusion breaks, so does the fantasy. But when you choose to meet someone as they are, not as your soul wants them to be, you finally step out of the unconscious and into a real relationship. Repeating old wounds in new forms. Many relationships are not new beginnings, but reenactments of old stories. You meet someone and feel an instant familiarity. You are drawn to their energy, their silence, their fire. But beneath that attraction is often something older, a memory, a wound, a forgotten need. The soul does not forget what it has not healed. It brings you back again and again to the same emotional blueprint, hoping this time you will see the pattern and choose differently. Men who were once ignored by their mothers often chase women who withhold affection. Those who were shamed for showing emotions are drawn to partners who reward emotional silence. These are not coincidences. They are unconscious attempts to rewrite the past. But instead of healing, many only repeat. Instead of growing, they stay stuck. Because the unconscious does not care about happiness. It cares about familiarity. And what is familiar often feels like love. This is why calm, safe love can feel boring to someone trained by chaos. The nervous system confuses peace with emptiness. So they run toward intensity, toward drama, towards someone who fits the old pain. Not because they want to suffer, but because they have not learned any other language of love. The way out is not to find a new partner, but to recognize the old pattern. You cannot change what you do not name. When you see that your heartbreaks are mirrors of your childhood, when you realize you have been dating your pain in different bodies, you begin to wake up. This is where true healing begins. Not by searching for a savior, but by no longer abandoning yourself. When love becomes a bond of unhealed pain, some relationships are not built on love, but on mutual wounds. Two people find each other not through shared values, but through shared emptiness. They do not see one another clearly. Instead, they see someone who temporarily soothes the ache inside. This is not intimacy. It is survival. The bond feels intense, magnetic, even faded, but it is often rooted in pain that has never been named or faced. This kind of connection is known as a trauma bond. It forms when emotional highs are followed by deep emotional crashes. Moments of affection are mixed with withdrawal, approval is traded for silence, and love becomes a game of emotional control. The deeper the fear of abandonment, the stronger the attachment. What feels like passion is often just fear in disguise. In trauma bonds, the nervous system becomes addicted to the roller coaster. Calm feels unfamiliar. Consistency feels suspicious, so chaos becomes the new normal. One person pulls away to feel powerful. The other chases to avoid feeling worthless. They are not relating. They are reenacting. The relationship becomes a stage where old pain plays out over and over again. To heal from this, you must break the illusion. You must stop calling chaos chemistry. You must stop mistaking control for care. Healing starts when you recognize that intensity does not equal love. Love is not built on rescue missions or emotional dependency. It is built on safety, clarity, and shared growth. Leaving a trauma bond is hard because the pain feels personal. But once you see that the bond is not love, you reclaim your power. You begin to feel your own worth outside of someone else's reaction. And from that place of clarity, you no longer settle for pain disguised as passion. When the feminine shadow takes over the relationship, not all wounds come from neglect. Some come from power used unconsciously. In many relationships, the feminine shadow appears not as softness, but as control. She criticizes, withdraws, manipulates emotions, and creates a space where the man constantly questions his worth. This is not always intentional. It is often the result of a woman who has not made peace with her inner masculine. Her animus becomes a tyrant, speaking through judgment instead of wisdom. When a man is ruled by his unintegrated anima, he becomes the perfect match for this dynamic. He seeks comfort in her dominance, mistaking her strength for safety. He tries to earn her love by being silent, agreeable, or endlessly forgiving. But what he is really doing is reenacting an old trauma, one where being accepted means being invisible. This pattern creates a power struggle disguised as passion. The woman becomes the voice of criticism. The man becomes the shapeshifter, always adjusting, never grounded. Neither sees the other clearly. Both are acting from wounded parts of themselves. They confuse a control with connection, tension with depth, silence with peace. To break free from this, each must take responsibility for their inner world. The woman must confront her animus, not project him onto her partner. The man must face his anima, not chase her image in others. True relationship begins when both see that the enemy is not the other, but the part of themselves they have yet to heal. Only then can love be built on truth rather than trauma. Escaping illusion to return to the self. The greatest danger in love is not rejection. It is illusion. When you project your unmet needs onto someone else, you no longer see them. You see a fantasy. You fall for what they represent, not who they truly are. And when they fail to live up to that image, you feel betrayed. But it is not them who betrayed you. It is your own illusion breaking apart. Many confuse this collapse with heartbreak. But what actually breaks is the story you told yourself. You believed she would save you complete. You understand you without words. That belief was never based on reality. It was a hope built on loneliness. When you expect someone to be your mirror, your mother, your muse, you strip them of their humanity and place them on a pedestal that cannot hold real weight. To escape this illusion, you must return to the self. You must reclaim the parts of you that you tried to outsource. Your need for peace, your longing for depth, your hunger for meaning. No one else can carry these for you. When you stop asking someone else to be your missing piece, you begin to see clearly. This clarity can feel like loss, but it is liberation. You are not losing love. You are losing the need to find yourself in another. And from that space, you can finally love someone as they are, not as you wish them to be. Illusion dies so that truth can rise. And the truth is simple. You were never looking for them. You were always trying to find your way back to you, the man who can't be swayed by beauty. There is a rare kind of man who cannot be seduced by surface. He sees beauty, but he is not blinded by it. He feels attraction, but he is not owned by it. This man has met his anima, walked through his inner fire, and returned whole. He does not seek completion in a woman. He brings completion with him. His presence unsettles those who rely on charm to control. His calm makes noise unnecessary. His silence says more than performance ever could. This man is not cold. He is clear. He does not reject emotion. He respects it, but he no longer worships it. He no longer chases chaos and calls it love. He no longer mistakes longing for destiny. He has stopped asking to be chosen. He chooses himself. That choice transforms everything. Women sense something different in him. He does not try to impress. He does not adapt himself to be accepted. He listens deeply, speaks honestly, and walks away when his soul is not met. His boundaries are not walls. They are doors that open only to those who knock with truth. This man is not rare because others cannot become him. He is rare because few are willing to endure the path of facing the anima, the path of letting go of approval, the path of becoming so whole that nothing outside can complete or destroy him. He is not dangerous because he harms. He is dangerous because he cannot be controlled. His love is not for sale. His worth is not negotiable. And his soul belongs to no one but himself. This man does not need to be followed. He needs to be understood. When depth triggers the feminine response, a man who has done the inner work carries a presence that cannot be faked. He does not seek attention, but he commands it. He is not loud yet. His energy fills the room. When such a man enters a woman's life, he does not fit the roles she is used to. He does not chase. He does not beg. He sees her clearly, but is not moved by her games. This clarity can be disarming. It challenges the feminine unconscious in ways she cannot explain. For a woman still led by her unintegrated animus, this man feels dangerous, not because he is cruel, but because he is free. She cannot manipulate him. She cannot confuse him with mixed signals. He does not fear her silence. He does not react to her tests. Instead, he stands still, grounded, reflecting back what she has not yet faced in herself. And that reflection is powerful. She may try to control him, push him away, or prove he is like the others, but something deeper in her knows he is not. He awakens a forgotten part of her soul, the part that longs not for control, but for surrender. Not to a man, but to truth. He does not dominate. He evokes. He invites her into a different kind of connection, one based not on fear, but on awareness. The feminine response to depth is rarely soft at first. It resists, it tests, but eventually it recognizes. Not all women will stay. Some will retreat. But those who remain begin to soften, not because he forced them, but because his presence gave them permission to let go. In this space, real connection begins. Healthy connection beyond control and possession. Real connection begins when both people stop trying to own each other. It is not built on power, seduction, or emotional games. It is created in the quiet space where two whole individuals meet without trying to complete or fix each other. In that space, love is not a transaction. It is a reflection of two people who have faced themselves and chosen to share life, not escape it. For many, this kind of connection feels unfamiliar. They are used to love filled with drama, tension, and emotional highs. They mistake chaos for chemistry, silence for rejection, and boundaries for coldness. But these are not signs of deep love. They are signs of unresolved wounds. When a man and a woman have not done their inner work, they use each other as medicine, as distraction, or as a mirror to avoid healing. A healthy connection is built on presence. It is grounded in truth. There is no need for performance, no pressure to impress, no fear of honesty. Communication becomes simple. Vulnerability is not seen as weakness, but as trust. And space is no longer a threat. It becomes a place to breathe, to return to self, and to meet again without fear of abandonment. This kind of relationship feels calm, not because there is no passion, but because there is safety. Both people remain free. They do not cling out of fear. They choose each other out of clarity. And when one needs to step away, the other does not collapse. Because love is no longer based on control. It is based on respect. A connection like this is not built overnight. It comes after the illusions are shattered, after the projections fall away. Only when we stop using others to fix our pain can we begin to love without possession. This is not the love we are taught, but it is the love that lasts. When a man no longer needs to be validated, a man begins to change the moment he stops needing others to tell him who he is. As long as he seeks validation, he remains a prisoner to every compliment and every rejection. He adapts, performs, pleases. But when he lets go of that hunger, something deeper awakens. He becomes rooted. His actions come from truth, not approval. His love becomes a gift, not a strategy. This shift is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is steady and quiet. He no longer tries to prove his worth. He simply embodies it. He does not enter relationships looking to be accepted. He enters with clarity about what he gives and what he cannot give. This self-awareness transforms how he relates. He listens without defensiveness. He speaks without needing agreement. He walks away without anger when something dishonors his values. The world often misunderstands this kind of man. Some see him as distant. Others call him arrogant. But he is neither. He is just no longer addicted to being understood. He does not measure his value by how others respond. He has stopped outsourcing his identity. He knows who he is even when no one is watching. This is not emotional detachment. It is emotional responsibility. He does not expect anyone to heal what he has not faced. He does not use love to mask emptiness. He brings himself fully to the table without disguise, without demand. And in doing so, he invites a different kind of connection, one based on truth, not performance. One rooted in self-respect, not self-sacrifice. This man is not finished. He is still growing, but now he grows from within, not from praise, and that change makes all the difference. Healing together, not battling each other. Modern relationships often begin with silent conflict. Men and women meet carrying unseen wounds shaped by generations of misunderstanding and unmet needs. Instead of healing together, they test, defend, and blame. He protects his vulnerability behind silence. She hides her fear with control. What could be union becomes a battlefield, not because they are wrong for each other, but because they have not yet made peace within themselves. Men raised to fear emotion may view her depth as overwhelming. Women taught to doubt their softness may see his calm as indifference. Each misreads the other through the lens of their own pain. They do not mean to hurt one another. They are simply reacting to echoes of the past. But real love asks more than reaction. It asks reflection. Healing begins when both pause the war. When he stops seeing her as a threat to his freedom, when she stops viewing him as a source of disappointment, when both understand that they are not enemies, but reflections. Her control mirrors his unspoken fear. His distance reflects her forgotten longing to be seen without judgment. This shared awareness changes everything. It softens the defensiveness. It creates space for new stories. No one needs to be perfect, but both must be honest. The work is not to fix each other, but to hold space for truth to surface. In that space, walls begin to fall. Blame turns into understanding, and silence transforms into presence. Healing together is not easy. It requires courage. But when a man and a woman both choose awareness over ego connection, over pride, they begin to build something rare. Not a war of survival, but a path of growth. Not just love, but mutual liberation. Loving from wholeness, not to save or be saved. Real love begins when you no longer seek rescue, when you stop looking for someone to fix what you have not faced, when you stop offering yourself as a savior in exchange for connection. This is the turning point. Love is no longer an escape from your wounds. It becomes a reflection of your wholeness. You meet another not to complete each other, but to walk together in truth. Most relationships are built on longing. One person wants to be chosen. The other wants to be needed. Both seek something they feel missing within themselves. But when two incomplete people come together, they create more emptiness, not healing. They confuse intensity with depth attachment, with devotion and control with care. Loving from wholeness looks different. You do not rush. You do not chase. You meet slowly with presence. You listen more than you explain. You observe more than you assume. You do not collapse into another. You remain yourself. And in that grounded space, love is not overwhelming. It is peaceful. It grows through clarity, not confusion. You no longer need to earn love. You simply express it. You are not afraid of solitude. You are not defined by rejection. Your heart becomes an open field, not a battlefield. And because you are whole, you can allow others to be whole too. You do not ask them to shrink. You do not try to fix them. You love them as they are without losing yourself. This is the love that lasts, not because it avoids pain, but because it welcomes truth. It does not seek to rescue or be rescued. It simply says, I see you. I see me. And together we are free to walk forward, not because we need each other, but because we choose to walk side by side. In the end, love is not about finding someone to heal us. It is about becoming whole so we can meet each other in truth. The journey is not easy, but it is real. When you no longer chase illusions, you begin to live with clarity, depth, and peace. And from that place, love is no longer a need. It becomes a choice.